Hey guys, TommyBryson here, and what are 5 things you need to know before you actually go out there and buy a stock? And by the way, Warren Buffett bought his first stock at age 11. And I, TommyBryson, bought my first one at age 19 because basically that's when I found out about stocks. Until this day, I still remember those stocks, okay? I bought Walmart, GoPro, Etsy, CXW, a prison company, and on top of that, another company I won't mention, but they ended up basically losing a lot of people because they had a whole clinical experiment trying to eliminate obesity with a pill. Now, that one went okay for me because I got out very quickly, but there's a lot of things that I wish I knew back then before I made those investments, although 4 of them went well and 1 of them went sour on me, okay? Now, in this video, I'll tell you exactly what those 5 things actually are and how to go out there and what to look at when it comes to investments. And if you guys are new here, I post videos every single day, so make sure to also subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified. And on top of that, also destroy the like button. Now, the very first thing is this, guys, okay? The language of investing is called accounting. Now, I graduated as an accountant with a bachelor's degree from a college. And by the way, I'm going to be honest here. That type of accounting is not good enough, okay? That's just basically, hey, how to record stuff, right? However, you need to learn how to evaluate a company based on the language, meaning you have to read, understand, and basically value a company based on those numbers and that language. And by the way, I want to be 100% honest here, okay? Investing is not clean. There's a lot of sharks out there. And on top of that, a lot of companies that are not really honest. So there's also corruption when it comes to investing, misleading when it comes to numbers, trying to put things a certain way to make you say, hey, it's a good company, but in reality, it's actually a trash company. So that's why it's so important you really understand accounting at its core foundation and also understand finance to evaluate a company into the future. But if you don't know that, it's going to be very, very tough to go out there and analyze a company for what it is and basically say, hey, this company is worth this much, so I should pay this much for this stock right here, okay? That's the whole idea. And by the way, every single great investor that I know does not ask, Tommy, what investment should I actually pick, okay? Usually, they know how to analyze and study and then make their own decisions, okay? And by the way, investing is hard work. It looks easy, right? You go on your phone, you tap buy, you bought, okay? That's it. In 10 days, you might make some money or you might lose money. However, investing the right way is going to be very difficult because in reality, you're looking for investments that no one else has found. And that's basically going through hundreds, if not thousands of companies in your niche to go ahead and say, hey, this one right here is actually a good pick. This one's not. And by the way, that is a lot of reading. Now, here are the 5 basic things you need to understand when it comes to investing into stocks, okay? The first thing is basically, well, overall, it's just financial statements. And by the way, if you guys want a great book on financial statements, I'm going to go ahead and recommend this one right here. It's called The Interpretation of Financial Statements by Benjamin Graham and also Spencer B. Meredith. And by the way, again, financial statements are not all clean. They have corruption in them, okay? So you need to understand exactly how to spot these things, okay? And by the way, this book is pretty short. It's awesome. It's great. You can read it basically like in one day, maybe like in 2 hours or so. It's not that many at all. It's like around, how many pages? It's around 120 pages. Not that bad at all. Now, the 5 most important things you want to look at is basically, first of all, your balance sheet. The balance sheet is going to tell you exactly what the company owns and also the money it actually owes, its assets and also its liabilities. And by the way, this is always just in history for a time only because as you guys know, companies acquire more things and they also borrow more and more money. And overall, if you see a company with very little assets and a massive amount of debt, usually that's going to be a red flag. Number 2 is going to be an income statement. Now, income statement basically means, hey, profit and loss. How much money did you actually make net after all of your expenses? And on top of that, you can also calculate it based on EBITDA, which basically means earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and also amortization, okay? It's very long, right? Kind of long, but in reality, it's basically, hey, how much did you earn before everything else? But in reality, you have to take into account also depreciation, interest, and taxes, because in reality, those are things we're actually going to pay for either way. And by the way, when you learn more about accounting statements and so on, you're gonna see depreciation. Depreciation is still very real. Why? By the way, depreciation is basically, hey, this phone is worth $1,000, but every single year it loses value, right? It depreciates in time, right? And by the way, that's also a real expense because, by the way, machinery gets worn off. But that's another topic for another day. But again, depreciation, interest, taxes, amortizations are real things you want to look at. So don't think, hey, it's all about the earnings overall. No, it's about the whole picture. And again, accounting has corruption. So look over everything. Also, for example, options they give out to employees and also the head of the companies and so on. You'll know about it when you learn more about it. Now, third is also the cash flow statement. This will tell you exactly where the money is actually going. Yes, have a balance sheet, income statement, but you also want to know exactly where the money is actually heading. Number 4 is going to be the 10K form. Now, the 10K form is going to be filed annually and is going to give you a full perspective on the financial health of the company. Now, to find the 10K form, guys, you will need to go to sec.gov. So basically, just go on Google and type in SEC filings. That's what I always do. And then, boom, the first link is right here. And what you want to do is basically type in the ticker symbol for the company. So, for example, let's say you actually want to find Apple, right? So, APPL is the whole ticker symbol. You click on it, and then it takes you to the website, right? Their entire thing right here. Now, right here is the 10K annual report, okay? So, you click on it, you open it, and boom, here it is right here. All the information on the full perspective of what happened to Apple back in 2020. Everything is basically here, how much they earned, the competition, everything you need to know about, okay? On top of that, you also have number 2. That's called the 10Q form. That's going to tell you basically all the acquisitions that Apple has also been doing. For example, has Apple been buying companies also? And it will be also right here. So click it and boom, it'll take you right here. Has it been acquiring any companies, okay? And by the way, people often think that basically, well, if a company makes a lot of money, and they're acquiring companies, it means you're eliminating competition, right? And that sounds great on paper, but also, remember, okay, you have managers or CEOs picking the companies to actually buy. Now, are those CEOs good at basically analyzing companies? They might be or they might not be. So sometimes you find companies, for example, acquiring companies that kind of suck and are not good for anything. Now, I like, for example, Mark Zuckerberg. He bought WhatsApp, Instagram, good acquisitions, but he's also bought a lot more. So you're always going to go to the 10Q form to see also the acquisitions, okay? That's the whole idea. So overall, you want to look at, for example, the balance sheet, the income statement, the cash flow statement, the 10K form, the 10Q form. And all this is going to tell you basically kind of a glimpse picture of the company, not the overall picture just yet. There's a lot more research to actually do. But again, if you don't know accounting, I recommend you take some classes online. You don't need to go to college. You can go, for example, on Udemy or Skillshare, whatever you want to do, and find some accounting classes there for cheap, for the low. Or, for example, just go on YouTube and find out some tutorials on accounting and so on, because you can probably learn the whole thing for free. There's no college involved here. But if you guys want to, once you understand accounting, you want to read this book here also, right? Because this book is going to tell you all about the corruption and things companies use to basically say, hey, we're going to get one over on you. So it's not just about learning the language, but it's also about understanding what other companies and accountants basically do to trick you so you don't understand exactly what's actually going on, okay? It's not fair if you don't get how they try to finesse you all the time. Now, overall, guys, those right there are the 5 basics when it comes to analyzing a stock, a company. That's the basic, okay? Now, however, I do want to mention a few more things here. Now, the first thing is basically competition and biology are the same thing. Tommy, why are you telling me this? Because basically, whenever you're picking a stock, you might think basically, hey, this company is going to be around forever, okay? Disney, Amazon, Google, Facebook, Tesla now. Like all these companies, like, hey, I can invest money here and it'll be here forever. I don't have to worry about it. 10K here today, in 20 years, it'll be like $40,000 or $50,000, right? That's the whole idea. However, biology says that basically every organism at some point has to come to an end. Same thing with businesses, corporation, everything. Remember, okay, 50 years ago, Apple was losing to Microsoft. 20 years ago, GameStop was the best thing ever. Today it's not, okay? The idea is that at some point, every company is going to come to an end and you can't predict when it's going to happen. That's why your job as an investor is say, hey, I'm going to buy this company based on the information I have today. However, I have to keep going back and back to it to see exactly if everything is still lining up with the story I developed will actually invest into this company, okay? That's what you want to do. So it's not about investing once and forget about it. No, it's about investing. And you keep, for example, looking at it over time to make sure everything is in alignment. That's the whole idea there. Now, number 2, guys, is basically whenever buying a company, a stock, you have to be a business person. And that's why it's so important you go and you understand fully what this company is actually doing, how much they make, what their earnings are, the competition, everything, right? It's not like, hey, you want to buy a company and say, hey, all right, I want to buy this company, let me just buy it right now, not thinking about it. No, you have to look at it financially and say, hey, is this going to be a good buy or is it not going to be a good buy? If you don't know how to do that, in reality, stock picking might not be for you. However, you can always go into index fund investing or ETF investing, okay? And by the way, the odds are a lot better in that game. But Tommy, I don't want to be average. However, average is great over the long term, okay? Picking stocks is extremely risky if you don't know what you're doing, and that's why there's only one Warren Buffett out there. Now, on top of that, guys, number 3 is going to be safety of margin. Whenever buying into a company, you need to make sure you have a safety of margin. That way, if things go wrong, you can always get out and basically preserve your capital. As an investor, you don't want to lose your money. If you don't have money, in reality, you can't keep investing. By the way, a lot of investors start, for example, with 10,000 or 5,000 or 1,000. You don't need that much money, but you don't want to lose your money whatsoever, because every time you do that, you kind of have to go ahead and start over. That's the whole idea, and that's what you don't want to do. And by the way, yes, this is definitely prop money. I wouldn't keep that much money in my room at all. Not a good idea. Now, number 4, guys, is going to be, no, number 4 and 5 is the same thing here, but it's all about long-term perspective and also patience, okay? Remember, well, I heard this quote once from Warren Buffett. It said basically, if you want to be an investor, grab a piece of paper and just put, for example, 20 holes in it, okay? And you can't pick more than 20 companies in a lifetime. If you really did that, in reality, you would be very careful with the companies you actually picked. So it's not about volume per se, like I want to pick this company, but no. It's about making very good investment based on facts. And by the way, you don't need to pick 1,000 companies or 10,000 companies or whatever, right? It's all about finding some really good companies to invest into, okay? I think Charlie Munger has around 3 companies in his portfolio, and he's basically worth around like almost $2 billion, so like $2 billion. The answer is you don't need that many companies, you just need a few good companies, okay? And by the way, when you are, for example, stock picking, diversification is not important, because in reality, you should know exactly what you're doing, so you don't need to diversify whatsoever when you're stock picking. It's all about, hey, I found a good company, here are the facts, I'm gonna go all in on this one. And that's why it's such a brave person's job. And overall, guys, in the end, investing is going to be a full-time job. You cannot do this part-time, okay? And by the way, if you want more information about investing, I recommend 2 books. The first one is called this one right here, Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. But also you have this one right here, which a lot of people don't read, and it's basically Security and Analysis by Benjamin Graham also. Now notice here, guys, okay? The difference is obviously massive. This right here is the Bible for investing and the best way to learn exactly how investing actually works fully and how to analyze a company, okay? But overall, you read this one, you get some information, but you can't really do anything without the next book. So I highly recommend, if you really want to be a stock picker, you got to read those 2 books. That's the basics right there. But for me, guys, tell me, are you still picking stocks? Honestly, I'm not, okay? I picked a stock with my information back in December, well, not December, in 2020. I made a lot of money. Yes, I doubled my money, right? Great. But in reality, guys, I realized that basically my real focus is to keep learning and teaching you guys everything I know. And that's basically a full-time job. Now, investing again is also a full-time job. So I don't want to do both things at the same time. Maybe in the future, when I'm done with YouTube, I can focus on this. But for right now, my focus is basically on YouTube, also learning and teaching, and also a lot more things. But overall, it's about right now, I'm doing passive investments for basically index funds and ETFs. But if you want to do stock picking, you got to go ahead. And again, you got to read those 2 books right here. I think this was like $50 and like $12. Not that bad at all. It's a good investment if you want to learn more about investing, okay? That's the whole idea. But guys, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. And by the way, you got to be honest with yourself, okay? You got to be honest, okay? Is something you want to do, spending 8 to 10 hours every single day reading financial statements and not finding anything? That's what it is, okay? You have to keep finding and finding and looking to actually find a company that's worth the time. That takes a long time. That's not what I want to do right now, and I'm being honest, okay? That's the whole idea. I'll see you guys next time. As always, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified. And if you guys want to text me, well, join me on Patreon, link down below, or send me a DM on Instagram at TommyBryson. Before I go, if you guys want to watch another video on the basics of investing, well, here's a basic video about investing. And top about also click my face right here. See you guys tomorrow, and as always, peace.